It is very important to note that these next two examples come directly out of the Airman Knowledge Testing Supplement. I believe that there are intentional errors introduced into these examples to see if you're paying attention, and I will point them out for you. All right, let's get started. Here we have the station identifier. The report was issued on the 12th day, 1700 hours, 20 minutes after the hour. Validation period is from the 12th day of the month, 1800 hours, to the next day, 13th day of the month, at 2400 hours, which makes this a 30-hour TAF forecast. Next up is wind. The wind direction is 200 degrees at 12 knots. Visibility is 5 statute miles. Weather phenomenon is haze. Sky conditions is reported as broken at 3,000 feet. For the duration of the forecast, this is what you might expect. Next up is the probability 40 group for thunderstorms. There is a 40 to 49% chance of thunderstorms, starting on the 12th day of the month at 2000 hours to 2200 hours, with visibility of 1 statute mile. Weather phenomenon is thunderstorms with rain. We can expect sky conditions to be overcast at 800 feet with cumulonimbus clouds. As mentioned before, all from groups start a new line. This from group forecast starts on the 12th day of the month at 2200 hours, 0 minutes after the hour. Wind direction is 330 degrees and wind speed is 15 knots with gusts up to 20 knots. Visibility is greater than 6 statute miles. Sky conditions are reported as broken at 1500 feet and overcast at 2500 feet. Here's another probability 40 group, which is very interesting because it is the same date and time and probability as the one above it. However, the visibility and weather phenomenon is different. So this may be intentional to see if you guys are paying attention. If we take it verbatim, it conflicts with the one above it. It may have been intended for the 13th day. I don't know. On the third line, we have a new from group, starting on the 12th day at 200 hours, 0 minutes after the hour. I believe this one to be another intentional error to see if you're paying attention, because that date and time does not fit within the valid time period. In any case, for this particular from group, the wind is at 350 degrees at 12 knots. Sky conditions are forecasted to be overcast at 800 feet. Here we have another probability group, and again, the date and time does not fit within the validation period, but let's read it anyhow. This is a probability group of 40 for thunderstorms on the 12th day of the month at 200 hours to 500 hours. Visibility is expected to be 2 statute miles with light rain and snow. Next up is this becoming group, which starts on the 13th day of the month at 600 hours to 800 hours. Wind direction is expected to be at 20 degrees at 8 knots, and sky conditions broken at 1200 feet. Another becoming group on the 13th at 1000 hours to 1200 hours. Wind speed is under 3 knots. Visibility is 3 statute miles with mist, and sky conditions are clear. Here we have a temporary group, which the date and time does not fit within the validation period. Again, is this intentional to see if you're paying attention? I don't know, but now you know. It states that it's going to start on the 12th day at 1200 hours to 1400 hours. Occasionally, visibility will be as low as a half a mile with fog. And on the final line, we have a new from group starting on the 13th day of the month at 1600 hours. Wind is expected to be variable at 6 knots, visibility 6 statute miles or more, and the sky is clear. Okay, in this particular example, there are no curveballs. It's pretty straightforward. We have the station identifier, and this TAF forecast was issued on the 5th day, 1100 hours, 30 minutes after the hour. The validation period is the 5th day of the month at 1200 hours, extending to the 6th day of the month to 1800 hours. That's a 30-hour forecast. Wind direction is 140 degrees at 8 knots. Visibility is 5 statute miles. Weather phenomenon is mist. Sky conditions is broken at 3,000 feet. Next up is a temporary group starting on the 5th day of the month, 1300 hours, extending to 1600 hours. where occasionally visibility may be dropped to 1.5 statute miles with mist. As always, from groups start a new line, and in this one, it starts on the 5th day of the month, 1600 hours, 0 minutes after the hour. Wind is forecasted to be at 180 degrees at 10 knots, visibility greater than 6 statute miles, and sky conditions are clear. Next up is a becoming group, starting on the 5th day of the month, 2200 hours, extending to 2400 hours. Wind is forecasted at 200 degrees at 13 knots with gusts up to 20 knots. Visibility is expected to be 4 statute miles with showers and rain. Sky conditions are forecasted to be overcast at 2,000 feet. Here we have a probability 40 group, stating 40 to 49% chance of thunderstorms, starting on the 6th day of the month, 0 hours to 600 hours, with visibility of 2 statute miles. Weather phenomenon are thunderstorm and rain, and sky conditions are predicted to be overcast at 800 feet with cumulonimbus clouds. And the last group is a becoming group, starting on the 6th day of the month at 600 hours, extending to 800 hours. Wind direction is expected to be at 210 degrees at 15 knots, visibility greater than 6 statute miles, and sky conditions are expected to be scattered at 4,000 feet. And this last symbol means end of forecast.